For years, Detroit has had a weird relationship with motor racing. At first, the streets of downtown were used to host racing from IMSA, Formula One, and IndyCar as well. But that changed in 1992 when the Belle Park became the venue for IndyCar and the American Le Mans Series. Unfortunately for the real world, this circuit will no longer be used as of 2023. However, the virtual world, EMSA makes their debut on the streets of Belle Isle for round 2 of the Triple Crown. This circuit, which is 2.35 miles and 14 corners, has a tendency to punish drivers that are offline by inches due to the bumpy nature and walls surrounding the circuit. Our drivers will have to ace every single corner in their pursuit for defending champion Paul Krohn, won the first round of the Triple Crown in Long Beach. We will be watching with excitement as we welcome you to the EMSA Service Experts eTriple Crown Challenge with Bryan Sawyer in the production truck and Cody Erdmann next to me in the commentary box. I am Josh Mertz, live from the Belle Isle Circuit in Detroit, Michigan on the Automotive Sports Network. Our coverage and series are both brought to you by the Service Experts Advantage program. Get worry-free comfort at one low monthly payment, and for more information, visit serviceexperts.com. Cody, like I mentioned, Paul won the season last season. He started the Triple Crown just like he ended the E-Roval with a victory. How are you? What are your thoughts about the track, about tonight, about Paul Krohn? Anything in general, my friend?
Yeah, happy to be back here in Detroit for round 2 of the Triple Crown. We are looking for another exciting race with Paul. Sorry,
I don't know if I lost you or not, but I'll go over a couple things while you're working on that. So Paul Krohn is one step away from a $100 bonus if he sweeps all 3 overall races. So we'll have to see in the next hour or so. JJ Wang, always great at qualifying, always great at winning feature race number 1. But always, after that invert, has some bad luck. As our format for today's race, like always in EMSA, we have a 20-minute feature. After this, a 15-minute qualifying session. Then it sets the grid for that first 20-minute feature. Then we will have a 5-minute warm-up, which the top 10, and the top 10, I should say, the field, the inverted, saw last week Paul Krohn go from 8th to 1st, basically, in one corner. So if he wins tonight and next week in Chicago, he will get the $100 bonus for sweeping the Triple Crown. So we will certainly look for that. There's a couple of places on this track that are some noteworthy areas. Realistically, the whole track is. This is a fantastic circuit here on Belle Isle in Detroit, right near the border of Canada. As turns 1 and 2, hopefully, as we look, it looks like at Paul Krohn, our defending champion in car number 38. He actually goes through that first corner and second corner, very bumpy, over the crest. We saw the pace car crash here a couple years ago, which was kind of hilarious. Down Central Avenue, super long straightaway into a heavy braking zone in turn 3. And like we've mentioned before, these cars have anti-lock brakes, so it's going to be the last of the late breakers to try and get down into turn 3, short jog over to turn number 4. As pretty single file through 5 and 6 that we've seen, but then down Strand Drive, the back straightaway. We're going to see a section of track, turn 7, 8, 9, around the fountain, where most, like I said, this track is one groove, but this really is, and if you hit the curbs wrong, you're going to be into the wall. Hopefully, Cody, you're done dealing with whatever you had to deal with. As we ride on board Paul Krohn. Clip the curb. Some guys drift out to the left. You want to hug the wall around the right side, just because it's such a tricky section to get right. A lot like Baku turn 8 through the castle section there, as pole or provisional pole right now, Broderick Johnson. Now it's Ian Lane, 127.368. Something about our defending champion and last week's winner, Paul Krohn. He was 10th in qualifying. He was last, but I don't know if he ran a qualifying run. He was, I think, in race mode all practice long, so we'll just have to wait and see. Currently, Ian Lane, a 127.368 over Broderick Johnson at a 128.1. Paul Krohn clocks a 1 minute 30.277, so Crone nowhere close to pole position, but we certainly have seen him sneak it away in the past. As if you're back, Cody, interrupt me whenever.
Yeah, sorry. You were on a good roll there. Oh, good. Sorry.
I just wanted to. You were drowning. You were drowning in the channel, and I had to take over. So, what were your thoughts on my original question?
Looking forward to see if he can pull what unthinkable. He's the only one that can win that $100, like you said. Winning all three. He's done the first one. Although right now, doesn't have the pace, it seems like. Not sure what's going on. Normally he's top 5. As Jeff Mathis goes to the top of the board with a 26.8. First one in the 26 bracket. So we'll see if he can be able to jump up even farther, or Paul can find some speed.
We saw Jeff Mathis, impressive winning debut. He didn't win overall, like we mentioned before. He won the second feature in Charlotte, and he won the first feature, I believe, last week in Long Beach. But it was a duel between him and his teammate JJ Wang. And like I had mentioned, again, I don't know if you were around, but we wonder if JJ Wang can put it all together. He's been on first position before, he's won the first feature, but every single time that invert kills him, and all the momentum that he has ruined. JJ Wang got very close on this first run in qualifying. He is half a tenth down on his teammate Jeff Mathis. 0.064.
Yeah, he's a really fast driver, kind of like out by himself, can throw it on some good qualifying laps. It just, I don't know if he doesn't have the traffic experience like some of the other drivers do, on how it kind of, because navigating traffic is its own battle, let alone just trying to lay down a fast lap time. So just seems like the inexperience there might show a little bit, and he's just trying to understand how to manipulate traffic to the best of his ability.
As we look at Paul Crone warming up the tires in car number 38, he has the yellow number plate like he did for most of last season for the E-Roval. As we'll look and see if he can take the fight. Currently sitting P4, 1 minute 27.804. So he's a second down, but it's still a huge amount of time at this track, especially in this car. So we have almost crossed halfway here in qualifying, so we're going to get the second run. I've seen these guys pretty much run 3 qualifying runs here in EMSA. And Paul Crone trying to take pole position. Jeff Mathis currently on a flying lap. His middle sector was 19.133. I don't know, actually. His first sector, as he hit the wall, his first sector said 1 minute 10, so I don't know if my timing's broken. JJ Wang sets a 1:39. He must have been on a warm-up lap as well. So Mathis exits the final corner down to the start-finish line. We'll see if this lap counts. It does not. Actually, it says a 2 minute 11, so it had to have been a warm-up lap for car number 72. And I wonder if, realistically, we talk about JJ Wang, Cody, but I wonder if Jeff can put it all together too. The TWR car's pretty much on fire. And then Paul Crone just takes it all away in the second feature.
Yeah, TWR is pretty interesting story if you look at it from the beginning of last season, where they had James Watson and I think one other driver at the start of the season. They were a mid-pack contender, and now with JJ understanding these cars and Jeff coming in, like them two have been like the top 2 drivers JJ's been the top 2 for the end of the second half of last season for E-Roval. Then Jeff came on and won a race right off the bat, and then was a contender again last week in Long Beach. So it's kind of crazy to watch them go from a mid-pack contender up to a front runner each and every week.
So Jeff is on a flying lap in car number 72. So Wang as well in the 61. So the TWR car is pretty much line astern here in Belle Isle, as Ian Lane in the 98 exits the pit lane sitting in third. Jeff Mathis going to cross the start-finish line. 1 minute 27.3, but it does not count as he did have some form of contact. He hit the wall.
So did Wang as well.
And like I mentioned in the opener, it's so tricky to get it right, because if you go an inch offline, you're going to be in the wall, and it's going to invalidate your lap time. And it's so tempting to clobber these curbs, but if you go too far, you're going to go off the track and get an off track, and that's going to take it out of the running as well. Ian Lane had spun down by turn number 3. So we're going to see what he can do. Broderick Johnson has gone P3 at a 1 minute 27.106, still 3/10 down on Jeff Mathis, and Lane is still in the runoff of turn 3.
So with you being more familiar with the last two, this circuit and the last circuit we ran on, which one would say is a more tricky one to run around?
That's not to rehash the tricky word, but I would say Belle Isle. You have, from my point of view, and this could be horribly off base, I feel like this track is bumpier. I feel like this track has a little bit more elevation change. And granted, that might just be me speaking from experience. I've ran so many laps at Long Beach, I could probably run it blindfolded. But here, I never was able to really gel. Mathis crosses the line, 1 minute 26.886. His fastest lap was an 8.83, so consistency with the 72. But I would say this track, especially here in qualifying, just from what we've seen, these guys are forgetting that the rear is slightly wider than the front, and they're just brushing the wall with the rear of the car. Paul Crone crosses the line, 1 minute 27.5, so the defending champion improves his lap. He goes green, personal best, but does not increase his position. I want to see if we can find JJ Wang crosses the line, 1 minute, no, 42.5, so it was a warm-up or he had an incident, so that does not count. So to answer your question, this track, personally, more difficult.
I would have to agree just with, because like Long Beach too, you pretty much have pretty square corners, I would say.
Yes.
Pretty much 90s. And here you got a lot of like 45s, and you have
different shit.
Coming into 7, you're turning left and then snapping right. Like there's a lot of where you're braking while turning. Like it seems more on the technical side of things.
Like I had mentioned, I mean, the back straightaway of Strand Drive into 7, into 8 is a lot like the Castle section at Baku, because it's one lane. Hopefully we're looking at JJ Wang actually going into this complex. So into 7, you don't hit all the way to the left. You have to hug to the right side because the curb, driver's right, and into the wall, driver's right of turn 7 on the exit turns into turn 8. I mean, there's no preparing for that corner. So it's a lot about consistency. Corners lead into other corners. And Long Beach has a corner, straightaway. Corner, straightaway. I would say the trickiest part to relate the two tracks would probably be the fountain at Long Beach and turn 7 and 8 here. And then I don't think that the final complex at Long Beach has a comparison here, looking at this map. But that's just a unique section. The long left-hander into that hairpin at Long Beach, also a tricky section to get right.
The last section at Long Beach is kind of like 9, 10, and 11 here, but I think this is almost even more tricky because it's like 10 is bumpier, and then you instantly have to snap to the right and keep your momentum. So I just figure we do a little role reversal, and I ask you the questions.
All good. It has been a crazy couple of days for me. Broderick Johnson, provisional pole, 1 minute 26.744. That came out of nowhere for the 82. Let me see. He did obviously just set that super quick. Jeff Mathis now will have to wait and see if he can respond. And that is a surprise. And it's not saying that Broderick isn't capable of doing it, but I just wasn't expecting that. As we have 2 minutes left, that might be pole position, because I don't know if Jeff's going to have time.
Yeah, possibly not. I thought Ian Lane was in the start of a flying lap here, but he clipped the wall coming right out of 2. So, now just bangs into the tire barrier as I'm watching him. So
Jeff's going to have 1 lap left, but Ian Lane with his crash, he doesn't affect Jeff Mathis. Mathis over-rotates. That might be it. Where is JJ Wang? JJ has started his lap already, but he might not have time. Down to turn 3 in the 61. Through the straightaway to turn 4. Under the Firestone Bridge, down to turn 5, Lauderway. And then across to 6. He does the same thing as his teammate, and that might seal pole position unless Paul's on a hot lap here. We're going to look at the defending champion Krone. Everybody else on a lap. I think Paul might be the only chance to take pole position away at the line, and it doesn't count. So a last-ditch effort for Broderick Johnson, and we have 11 cars now, as Martin Mathis was able to show up, or Cameron Henn, I should say. So JJ has aborted. Jeff Mathis going to cross the line. He will go 128.3 despite having a slide in turn number 5. Marlon Orlando, one of the new drivers here in EMSA, he has not been on the pace. So Broderick Johnson, unofficially pole position here in Belle Isle. And that one came out of nowhere.
Yeah, that one, Broderick did run a 27.1 in practice, so we did see the glimpse of the speed, but not being able to pick up a half a second.
As our grid for the first feature, Broderick Johnson on pole position alongside Jeff Mathis on row number 2. JJ Wang and Ian Lane, row 2. Jeff Mathis in P2, I should say. Paul Krone, Marlon Orlando, Adrian Johansson, Aaron Totten, Dylan Thomas, Martin Mathis, and Cameron Henn in 11th. Remember, our coverage and series brought to you by the Service Experts Advantage program. Get worry-free comfort at one low monthly payment. And for more information, visit serviceexperts.com. Thank you guys for joining us on the Automotive Sports Network, whether it's live or on demand. Bryan Sawyer in the production truck alongside me is Cody Erdmann. I am Josh Mertz bringing you the call this evening. The first feature race coming up here shortly. And we're going to have 20-minute feature, I should say. Then we'll have a 5-minute warm-up. And then the top 10 will be inverted, so one man's going to be out starting 11th. We'll have another 20-minute feature. And this is going to be a good one. This turn number 1 and 2. I remember when NASA ran here in the Sports Car Challenge. It was such a tricky spot to get right. As everyone on grid, as hopefully I haven't lost Cody, but everyone on grid, as we might have had a couple of stream issues there. Apologies for that. We should be back going here on ASN Live, as we have just under 25 seconds, unless everyone grids up. We're waiting for Marlon Orlando and Adrian Johansson to grid up here, and they are on grid. We get ready to go green in Belle Isle for feature number 1. We go green in Detroit. Off the line, Broderick Johnson immediately blocks on Jeff Mathis into turn 1. Mathis got a better run into the corner. One car into the dirt. It was Ian Lane through turn 2. Side by side, Paul Krone and Ian Lane exiting 2. JJ Wang spins in front of the field. He doesn't get hit by anybody. Comes across the track. He gets avoided down to turn number 3. Broderick Johnson, huge gap. Paul Krone thought about looking to the inside on Ian Lane. Couldn't make it happen. Too much distance between them. One car to the inside of Johansson. It was Totten. Totten couldn't get there. Nearly hit the 27 into turn number 3. Side-by-side Henn with Mathis. At the first sector split, Broderick Johnson leads. Mathis, Lane, Krone, Orlando, the top 5. JJ Wang, commentators curse Cody. He is immediately in the back of the field.
Yeah, good avoiding by the rest of the field to not catch up into him. I was kind of afraid of that bump coming out of 2 was going to catch someone. Unfortunately, it did right away. JJ being unlucky one to just let the car get upset on cold tires and just loop it. Thankfully, no one, like I said, no one was able to blast it on the side of him.
Through the middle sector, through the fountain, like we've mentioned, one groove. You don't want to make any mistakes. Can't go side by side. You'd be pretty crazy. Field single file throughout. Broderick Johnson leads ahead of Jeff Mathis, ahead of Ian Lane. Paul Krone with the yellow number plate sits in P4. Marlon Orlando in his first start in P5. Rounding the final couple of corners, turn 12, turn 13, down to 14. Such a great sector, even though it only looks like his right-hand corner is very rewarding to get right. Broderick Johnson way out front by nearly a second over Jeff Mathis. And like I said in the opener, Cody, the crest right there in turn 2. You get it wrong, you're around. And JJ Wang learned the hard way. Into the wall goes Adrian Johansson from P7. He carries on, but he's going to have some damage on the right-hand side. Dylan Thomas is going to have a slipstream down Central Avenue into turn 3. Too far to make anything happen. I don't think JJ had damage, by the way, on that spin, but he's certainly on the back foot. And now we're going to see if Broderick can hold this lead. And we remember from the eRoval series, Broderick had a bit of luck. I believe he was the co-winner in Homestead overall. And gap is now 1.2 seconds.
Yeah, Broderick was super fast in the beginning of the season. I'd say he was probably one of the first drivers to figure out this car. He's just had
through
some
7,
unlucky,
through 8.
not the greatest luck. A couple of rounds is what held him out of points and not able to. I think he missed one too many races.
Yeah, I think he for sure missed one. He used his drop week, but then he had another work commitment, and he did miss a second, and that took him out of the championship fight. But this Triple Crown, like we mentioned last week, is a reset for some of these guys who had some bad luck in the eRoval series, whether it was on track or off track. And Broderick, 1.3 seconds ahead of Jeff Mathis. Last lap was a 1 minute 30.624 for Broderick. He was basically half a second faster at least than the rest of the field. That clean air certainly helping on car number 82 as Mathis breaking the slipstream of Ian Lane. I thought that Aaron Totten was going to get closer to Marlon Orlando for P5 going into turn 3, but it did not happen as JJ Wang still struggling as he, I say that, sets fastest lap at a 1 minute 30.621. But that's got to be disheartening to spin in turn 2, and he sets fastest lap, misses turn 3, and commentator's curse number 2 for JJ Wang on the 8.
I think it becomes as Totten is probably the closest battle. He's right on the back wing of our newcomer, Marlon Orlando.
Ian Lane spins from third. He had a lazy spin in turn 8. He was hauling the mail to try and catch Jeff Mathis, but there's a bump right on the apex of the transition change.
Ends into the grass.
And he looped it, and the 98 is off track, parks it. So he will be our odd man out, unless JJ parked. He did not. So Ian Lane is going to be relegated to an 11th place starting position. The one man out from the invert. It's one of our faster guys, so that's going to be a good one to watch.
As he'll have to latch onto the back of the winner of this race and work his way through the field with him.
I'm curious to see if there's going to be any heroics. You can't do any heroics in the turns 1 and 2, but you can certainly, if you get a good run and you don't spin on the crest, exiting to down Central Avenue, there's going to be a great run there. I've seen many passes over the years in whatever discipline it is. But Broderick's gap is a 1.5 seconds, and now it's a further 7/10 from Mathis to Krohn. And not many battles happening currently, but certainly it can change at a moment's notice. Also, speaking of notices, NASA Rallycross will be back for the 2023A Overwatch Specialty Service NASA Rallycross Challenge. Be sure to join myself, Bryan Sawyer, Philip Kraus, for all of the action in the Automotive Sports Network on February 27th. We're going to start the season at Brands Hatch and join the Discord link on stream, whether it was to join our broadcasts, to watch them, to race. Doesn't matter to me as long as we increase that engagement in either form. So, super excited to have that. As we look at Mathis versus Cameron Henn. And Mathis overcooked it in turn 10 into 11. And Cameron Henn, 4P8, looks to the inside, spooks him a little bit into turn number 12. And 12 is slower than it looks into 13. Ian Lane is disconnected from the session, so maybe he won't be back. Cameron Henn got a huge run off of turn 13. Thought to sneak to the inside into 14. Once you get that far committed, Cody, I would have just sent it as Martin Mathis runs wide in turn 1.
Yeah, as he kind of definitely looks about now, he gets a really good run out of 2 here. He probably will do something with it. Looking to the outside.
Drafting down Central Avenue on the outside. Mathis going to give him the spot. JJ Wang resets fastest lap, 1 minute 30.382 for the 61. Flicking through the field, Adrian Johansson has spun from the 6th position. So that gives Dylan Thomas P6. And this gap is gone from a 1.5 seconds to just under a second as Broderick slowing up the pace just a little bit in car number 82, but we're not missing anything battle-wise, just the gap has shrank. Johansson finally has got the car turned back around, but he's got heavy damage to the 27. 3/4 of a second is the gap, well, it was, through the middle sector, Cody. Do you think that Matthes has something that Broderick doesn't?
Could be very possible. Broderick could have overheated his tires a little bit, so he's trying to let them cool off. Especially with how bumpy it is. If you really start pushing, I'd imagine just one lap. Overheat the tires is 30.9 for Matthes, 31.5 from Johnson. So half a second slower was our leader on P2. So, and Paul Crone was a 30.6. So
down Central Avenue, Paul Crone in striking distance as well, but someone so far, granted we're almost to halfway, Marlon Orlando sits P4, Aaron Totten P5, Dylan Thomas P6, Cameron Henn all over the track in P7. He took the spot from Martin Matthes, crested over turn 2, and nearly crashed on the straightaway. Gap is still 3/4 of a second. We might have a battle for the race lead here in just a few moments' time, as Jeff Matthes was, like you mentioned, half a second quicker than Broderick Johnson that last lap. Turn 7, turn 8. Broderick runs it wide compared to Matthes. Matthes hits that apex. And Broderick might have his tires cooked, and he might not be able to cool them down because he doesn't have the gap in order to do so. So, that car looks so indecisive on what it wants to do.
Yeah, the front tires look pretty cooked. It seems like they don't really want to hook up. And I noticed through 9 and 10, he did a really big slide to the center of the corner, so I think the tires are starting to give way, and that's what's helping Matthes and Paul Crone. Paul again, kind of, Mr. Where did he come from? Running faster lap times than his 2 cars in front of him.
You win a championship by being there even when you're not having a good day to your standards, and a P3 day can translate into an overall win for Paul Crone, especially the shenanigans that he has shown on the first lap of the second feature race. Matthes deep on the brakes in turn 3, misses the apex of the corner. He carried a little bit more speed. Gap is just over a 7/10, just under now as it fluctuates by the moment. Last lap time, they were pretty equal.
I totally thought he was sliding off the track there going into 3.
I didn't want to say it, but I thought of the same thing. As Paul Crone 2.2 seconds away from the race leader, as everyone else pretty much spaced. Adrian Johansson gets passed by Cameron Henn as he's off the lead lap, and JJ Wang catching up to Martin Matthes. So everyone running their own races. Remember, Ian Lane is disconnected. Maybe he'll come back for that second feature race. Hopefully he will. But Matthes, this is going to be a show for this last 10 minutes as we look at Matthes battling with JJ Wang. JJ Wang, according to this last lap time, was 5 seconds faster, or 3 seconds faster, I should say. He takes the spot for P8. Half a second is the gap between Broderick Johnson and Jeff Matthes, Cody.
Yeah, we're just running nose to tail right now. I think Jeff is a little bit better on the brakes, although he big run through the center there, but then Broderick gets a really good run. Matthes just scrapes the wall coming out of the corner.
The gap was 0.4 of a second on lap time. Matthes had a great exit of 1 into 2, but ran it wide on 2. There's 2 completely different philosophies of that first chicane. It looks like that Broderick backs up turn 1, runs it wide on entry into 2. And Matthes does the exact opposite, and that's what haven't brushed the wall. Gap is 3/4 of a second, with 8 3/4 minutes left to go.
As these two are trying to play cat and mouse right now. And this is kind of a perfect spot for Paul Crone to be sitting in, because if these two make any mistake, which is a pretty easy racetrack, can make a mistake just by yourself, let alone trying to battle each other. If either of them make a mistake, Paul will just be able to pounce on the opportunity. Because he even ran a faster lap time than the two in front of him.
As Broderick Johnson, Jeff Matthes, gap is 0.8 of a second. It is for sure a cat and mouse game. It's a game of chess. The gap is up by 0.2 on Paul Crone. we look at Orlando, or at least I am just flicking through the field to see Cameron Henn is spun off the back bumper of Dylan Thomas. No contact, but he looped it there. As currently, gap is lengthened just a pinch. 1 minute 31.3 for Jeff Mathis. 1 minute 30.901 for Broderick Johnson. As apologies, like we mentioned, if we're having some technical difficulties. Hopefully we aren't. But if for whatever reason there is, the stream is always on ASN On Demand on our YouTube page for that. But hopefully, like I mentioned, we won't be having any issues. As Jeff Mathis lost a couple tenths that last lap, Cody, but it looks like he's gaining them right back. As I was wondering why I was completely silent by myself, and I was just informed by our director, Bryan Sawyer, as they are both in Wisconsin. Cody's internet has died. Cameron Henn got crashed by Aaron Totten. Totten spun from P5 and came out in front of Cameron Henn. I know we're focused on the race lead, but I was flicking through the field, and Cameron Henn taken out from 9th. So hopefully we'll take a look here at what happened. As that's Cameron trying to get restarted. But right here, Totten just pulls out right in front of him. And Henn nowhere to go. Gap is 3/4 of a second still from Broderick to Jeff Mathis. And Mathis was deep on the brakes in turn number 3. As I haven't forgotten about my Twitch chat. I appreciate everyone's engagement there. As thank you, Bryan Sawyer, for picking that up. That's also a very good thing for you to do if you don't mind handling that. Gap still 0.8 of a second. Paul Krohn's gap has stabilized as well. Really no battles going on, but JJ Wang hauling the mail, catching up to Dylan Thomas. So I might be a liar. He might be making this move for P5. Remember, JJ Wang had a great qualifying run in car number 61. Qualified third, spun on lap 1, turn 2. Worst possible spot that could happen. We do certainly have some Marlin Orlando fans in our chat, so welcome to the Automotive Sports Network. Here at the Belle Isle Park for the EMSA Service Experts eTriple Crown, Josh Mertz, Bryan Sawyer. Cody Erdmann's stuck somewhere dealing with his internet trying to come back, so hopefully he'll be back here shortly. As we have just under 5 minutes left to go in feature race number 1. Once the checkered flag drops, though, don't go anywhere. We're going to have a 5-minute warm-up. If Cody's back from wherever he is, he'll have a chat with our race winner of this feature race, which then we'll have that second feature race. And to score the overall winner, think of it as golf, lowest points score wins. So if Broderick were to win, he'd get 1 point for overall scoring purposes. If he wins the second feature, he'll have 2 points, he wins. It sounds complicated, but we'll keep you updated. But the kicker of this scenario is the top 10 get inverted. Granted, Ian Lane's not here. He's currently sitting P11. Hopefully he comes back. But that would mean the whole field inverts. And we saw last week in Long Beach, Paul Krohn was P8, I think, and ended up P2 in turn number 2. Jeff Mathis is hauling, trying to catch Broderick Johnson, kissed the wall on the exit of turn number 6, down strand drive into 7 and 8. And like we've mentioned, this is a one-line complex. Broderick deep on the brakes, misses the apex. And Jeff Mathis hugs driver's right, rounding turn number 8, 9 and 10, flowing corners. 10 flows into 11. And if you hit the curb wrong in 10, you're going to be in the wall in 11. Broderick misses the apex as well. Now a short jaunt down strand drive again to 12 and 13. We've seen a couple moves potentially being made in this sector as well. Paul Krohn, 1.9 seconds is the gap. He's taken a couple tenths away from the leaders in the top 2 positions. And every single time they go through here, hopefully we can get, maybe next lap, get an overhead shot for you guys. But I'm looking to see, Broderick Johnson has such an interesting line in turn number 2, backs up the corner. As you will be seeing pull, or blue flags, I should say, for Cameron Henn. But there is much bigger things that he has to worry about. If he looks in his mirror, he's going to see car number 72 of Jeff Mathis. And Broderick doesn't crack under pressure that I've seen, but certainly it's been a while since the 82 has been up front. I could be a horrible liar. I don't have my stat book in front of me. I apologize there. As we're going to have, I would estimate, probably 2 laps to go as we come to the line this time by. So if Jeff wants to make a move, he's going to have to make a move quickly. I think Cody Erdmann's finally back. You've returned from internet oblivion. I might have questioned him too soon. I think he's still trying to get out of the... Yep. Okay. So, gap is 3/4 of a second. The gap back to Krone is stabilized as well. Really no battles to speak of. J.J. Wang got by Dylan Thomas quite a long time ago. As we're going to take a look from high above, focusing on this line for Broderick Johnson, and just to show you what it looks like in turns 1 and 2. Turn 1, he goes slow. Wide entry. Makes me out to be a liar. He doesn't run that line again. I think he knows that Jeff is here. Jeff is arriving quickly as we have 2 laps to go here in Belle Isle. They might catch Cameron Henn roughly 3 seconds slower per lap than these guys, but Mathis deep on the brakes in turn 3, across to turn 4. We might see a move downstrand drive into turn 7, depending on if Mathis can get a good run through 5 and 6, and then down the straightaway. Broderick misses the apex. Mathis clips the curb. Into 6. Into the wall goes Mathis, and into the wall again. And commentators curse again, Josh. And that might have sealed it for our race here in Detroit. Wiggling to see if there's any suspension damage, but he had a pretty hefty whack on both sides of the car, did Jeff Mathis in car number 72. And that might have been just a little bit of anxiety, a little bit of antsiness to try and make a move a little bit too soon. As Cody, if you're back, I wonder your take on that. Cody's not back yet, just kidding. It's still just me. Thanks everyone for hanging out through our pains, through the interwebs being the interwebs, especially in Wisconsin. I think the hamsters on the wheels decided to stop working in Cody Erdmann's apartment.
No, we're good now.
Oh, you're back. As we take the white flag, I want to hear your thoughts on Mathis making maybe a move a little bit too soon, unless Broderick runs wide in turn 1. But Mathis hit the wall in 6 and then hit the wall in 7. So
my internet just decided to show me that. So I think he was just trying to get a little bit pushy, knowing that the time was running down. As now he's making a really hard charge here, coming up to the end. Big lunge into 3.
And Paul Krone, where did he come from? Like we always say, he is on the back bumper of these two, and I might have spoke too soon. This race might not be over. Mathis might have one shot into the final sector. Certainly doesn't want to hit the wall like he did last lap here. The gap is half a second, just over half a second, 6/10, down the back straightaway into turn number 7. And we've seen Mathis have a great line through here compared to Broderick Johnson, 300-meter board, braking early. He hits the apex compared to Broderick, hugs driver's right to make the corner into 7. And we might see a last-ditch effort into turn 12 and 13. You have to get this long, basically one whole corner, split up into 3. You have to get it right. Broderick complaining under braking, really. 12, 13, and 14 look simple on the map, but we do have 3 corners left. But if Broderick can get out of 13 without an issue, this race might be sealed. Mathis gets close, but Broderick Johnson will come off of the final corner and win the first feature here in Belle Isle. P2 Mathis, P3 Paul Krone. Marlon Orlando on debut, Cody, sits in P4. He still has a few corners left to go, of course, but a great run from Marlon, as J.J. Wang will recover to P5 here shortly. But this is going to be a good battle between Jeff and Broderick, certainly, in the second feature race, and it's going to be pretty interesting to watch. Remember, don't go away. We're going to have a 5-minute intermission. We're going to have a chat with our feature 1 winner, Broderick Johnson, and then we'll have the invert of the field. Marlon comes home P4, great run for him. J.J. Wang P5, Dylan Thomas P6, Martin Mathis, Aaron Totten, Adrian Johansson, Cameron Henn, and Ian Lane, P11. As Cody, I'm going to bring in Broderick Johnson, and we'll have a chat, you will, with our first feature winner.
I did, I guess, stack us up in turn one. Sorry about that, guys. I was not going to overshoot that corner like the last time I was on the front row.
Hi. Oh. Hi, Broderick. You're live now.
Oh, hey.
No warning. I casually do that. You have to pay attention. Go ahead.
Yeah, they were asking me if I was the one that took out JJ, and I said I was starting up front, so I don't know how I would do that.
We're not sure. I don't know if our lovely producer, Mr. Bryan Sawyer, could get us a replay of that if possible. Well, first off, congratulations on getting pole and winning the first feature. What was your thoughts there with Jeff kind of breathing down your neck there in the last couple of laps? Were you comfortable that you could hold him off?
No. At no point in time was I comfortable, but yeah, I mean, I think I had more speed than I thought I did. I wasn't expecting to get pole there, and definitely wasn't expecting to be able to maintain the speed that I had. I just trying to think positive throughout the entire run, and then kept on maintaining. So it is what it is. I'm happy with it. Now I got to work my way through the field.
Or are you gonna try to make a daring move like our series point leader Paul Crown did last week, or are you gonna try to play it methodically and kind of work your way through the field?
I'll show my hand here. It's a street course, and for that reason, I'm going to enjoy being in the back and letting everyone else hopefully take themselves out. You know, it's I'm out of the running for the Triple Crown as far as points go, so it's just let's try to get the win tonight and be as safe as possible. You know.
For sure, try to bring home as many trophies as you possibly can.
That's the thought process.
That being said, who'd you like to thank on helping you be able to get all those trophies?
Yeah, it's nice to have service experts on the car again tonight. So you know, they're going to be on the car next week too. It'd be nice to bring home a feature win for them tonight, other than just the first feature, but a total, you know, overall win. So gonna go for that. But yeah, thanks to them, everything they do, Firestorm Motorsport, you guys, of course, all the competitors that showed up tonight.
As I do appreciate service masters and everything they do for the series, and hopefully we'll see you later tonight as the overall winner, or at least on the podium.
Yep. Hopefully we'll see you then, guys.
I really didn't want to roast you during your interview, but you just got the sponsor wrong.
I just realized that
It's okay. It's been a day, boys and girls. As we thank everyone for hanging out with us, we do have a couple minutes until our second feature race. It's been one of those days. It's been a week for me. It's been a weird one.
Here, hold on. I would like to apologize to service experts.
There we go.
So
there we go.
As I saw that the graphic, I'm like, oh look, I just totally messed that up. I feel terrible. Listening to the internet's been great to two of us.
I'll make it up this way. Our coverage and series are both brought to you by the Service Experts Advantage program. Get worry-free comfort at one low monthly payment. And for more information, visit serviceexperts.com. As Bryan Sawyer in the production truck, my name is Josh Mertz. Alongside me, Cody Erdmann. We are in warm-up for the second round of the Triple Crown here in Belle Isle in Detroit. A couple minutes left of this warm-up, and then we will have a 20-minute feature top 10 inverted. No Ian Lane, so realistically, it is the field that is inverted. As no lap times are set, I don't think. As unofficially, interesting little storyline here is Jeff Mathis sits in the tentative points lead over Paul Crown, Cody. Huh.
Yeah, he's been, I would say, the most consistently up front, which is crazy to say, as Paul finished third and won the overall last week. So it's a crazy thought to say that I feel like Mathis has been more of a consistent driver being up front, as we're going to see now what he can do through traffic. We saw what Paul can do through traffic. and that's throw a daring move into turn 1. Now, the main move here will be turn 3, so we'll see what he can do through 1 and 2 to set himself up to make the big pass into 3.
As it's going to be super exciting in this second feature race. I don't think Ian Lane is going to return. He doesn't look like he's connected to the Discord or he is in the session. So Mr. Ian Lane, registered as Club Ohio, will not be returning in this second round of the Triple Crown this evening. At least, like I said, I don't think I see anything on the Discord. So the man who won in Pocono, Pennsylvania in the E-Roval Series doesn't look like he'll be able to or will want to take the fight as we finish in warm-up. So we take a look at our grid, and remember, boys and girls, it's inverted. The top 10, the field, inverted here. Cameron Henn and Adrian Johansson, row 1. Aaron Totten, Martin Mathis, row 2. Dylan Thomas, JJ Wang, row 3. Marlon Orlando and Paul Crone, row 4. Jeff Mathis and Broderick Johnson, row 5. And if Ian Lane shows up in the next 40 seconds, he'll be on the last row of the grid. For our series and coverage brought to you by the Service Experts Advantage Program. Get worry-free comfort at one low monthly payment. And for more information, visit serviceexperts.com. Bryan, Sawyer in the production truck. Cody Erdmann alongside me. My name is Josh Mertz. We are here for Feature 2, Round 2 of the Service Experts eTriple Crown here in Belle Isle. 20 minutes as we get ready to go green in Detroit. We go green in Detroit, Michigan. Off the line, Cameron Henn leads compared to Adrian Johansson. It's side-by-side with Totten and Mathis. Down to turn 1. Side-by-side, Dylan Thomas and JJ Wang. Over the crest for the first time. Will there be any issues through turn 2? None in the first couple of rows. JJ Wang hits the wall! Into Crown, the points leader! And our defending champion is around in turn 1. Down to turn 3, to the inside, Totten of Adrian Johansson, deep on the brakes. Totten runs it wide, he pushes him wide, and Johansson nearly into the wall, but he gets past by Martin Mathis. Into turn 3, Jeff Mathis gets by Dylan Thomas. He certainly loves this, especially with Paul Crone out of the equation. And crucially, Cody, Broderick Johnson stuck in traffic. Turn 3, Mathis to the inside of his teammate, JJ Wang. Into the wall is Aaron Totten, stuck on the wall in the 28. Into turn 6, he gets nudged. Orlando does into Dylan Thomas from Broderick Johnson, and Mathis is around. I think it was P4. What is happening? As Paul Crone in P8. Let's see who is leading. Cameron Henn, Martin Mathis, JJ Wang P3, Johansson, Johnson, Thomas Mathis, Crone, Orlando is our running order. Aaron Totten off the road. What an eventful first half of a lap, Cody, as I thought Jeff Mathis had it all made until he hit the wall.
Yeah, what the replay, Johansson just got loose coming out of that corner and just kind of the back end slapped into the nose of our point leader Mathis and just unfortunately turned him into the fence. So Cameron Henn is checked out with the first lap mayhem that was.
We'll take a look in a minute. Defending really hard was Martin Mathis on JJ Wang. He let him by into turn 1. We'll see through the crest. JJ Wang might have benefited from his spin on the first lap. Let's take another look and see as to what transpired here, if we can pull it up, to see part of what happened on the first lap here in Detroit. As we look right now at JJ Wang, I believe, and now clipped him into Crone. Around goes Crone. So Crone taken out of the equation. He sits way down the order. And then everyone decided just to crash into each other as we get another look as to what happened in turn 2. As Broderick is in P3. I thought Broderick was going to be really out of position here, but then everyone decided to crash in front of him. And he is looking really good for this overall lead, especially with Mathis and Crone way down the order. I'll take a look off monitor to see what happened to Jeff Mathis if you want to pay attention here, Cody. But it's Jeff had such a great run. I think he got spooked as JJ went to the inside. And, yep, JJ went to the inside of Adrian Johansson. Johansson came off of the wall. No, he hit the bump and lost it. Mathis was just a victim. Innocent bystander. As let's get a reset of the running order. Crossing the line to complete lap 2. Cameron Henn leads ahead of JJ Wang in P2. Fastest lap for Cameron Henn. Now it's JJ Wang, 1 minute 31.439. So Broderick Johnson, P3. Johansson, Martin Mathis, top 5. Dylan Thomas, good run for him in 6th. Jeff Mathis, remember no relation to Martin. Paul Crone, Marlon Orlando, AaronTott in the top 10. Remember, no Ian Lane. He technically is 11th. Resets fastest lap. Paul Crone goes purple, 1 minute 30.813. Cameron Henn holding off JJ Wang.
As Wang has been slowly reeling him in at the moment, which, if you remember seeing on that points relative, JJ was P3 and only like 4 points behind our top 2 points leaders. So this could be a serious points shakeup as we're running right now.
As we'll keep an eye throughout that. Let's get a tentative overall, and it's going to go to Broderick Johnson if the race ended right now with 4 points. JJ Wang with 7, Cameron Henn with 11. The next closest car would be JJ Wang. Everybody else who finished well in feature race number 1 is way down the order in feature race number 2. So Broderick, Cameron Henn to the wall in turn 12. Into turn 13. To the inside goes JJ Wang. The race lead goes JJ Wang. And now Broderick has 15 minutes as Paul Crone over the radio thought there was an issue there. Broderick Johnson going to set his sights on JJ Wang, hopefully dispatch a Cameron Henn here. Resets fastest lap. But Broderick, I don't think anyone has swept the overall in quite swept both features, I should say, in quite some time. As Broderick to the inside of Cameron Henn, side drafting down Central Avenue into turn 3. Position change, put the 82 to P2, but he runs it wide in turn 3. Cameron Henn sneaks back to him. Not anywhere close, thinks better of it.
Yeah, now he's going to set his sights right on the leader of JJ Wang. He was almost, he was 8/10 faster that last lap, so we'll have to keep an eye on lap times.
As out front, JJ Wang in car number 61. If it were to end right now, he'd have 6 points. He would be finishing in second spot overall, what could have been if the 61 did not spin on the first lap in turn 2. But Broderick Johnson doesn't care about that. He wants to win the first feature. He wants to win the second feature, sweep him overall. He's got 15 minutes, just under, to make that happen. Cameron Henn, great run for him. I can't remember, honestly, if he's one of our newcomers. But he joined the session 5 minutes before qualifying ended, and he is sitting P3, and we get confirmation that it is his first week. So newcomer Cameron Henn, despite a little mistake in turn 12, having a great run here, Cody.
Yeah, running really well. Started up front and really hasn't dropped back. You've seen some of the drivers that we've gotten where they start up front, just kind of throw the anchor out of the back and slide back through the field. He's holding P3, and we're almost halfway through this race, so really good run by him.
The mind games begin of the top 2, ladies and gentlemen. As Broderick Johnson said, I'm in P2, look out! And JJ Wang says, absolutely not, and resets fastest lap, which was a second faster than Broderick Johnson that last lap. So the games have begun between the top 2, and JJ Wang, interestingly, can now put the second half of an evening together, while he still has the first half in a different race. We're waiting for the whole package to come together. The gap is 1 3/4 seconds between the top 2.
Yeah, if you'd be able to just get both ends of the night like together complete, he'd be one of the most unstoppable drivers we have in this series. Just unfortunately, the bad luck bug bites him in one of the 2.
As remember, after tonight, we still have 1 round left of the Service Experts eTriple Crown. It will be on the streets of Chicago next week. You'll join myself, Cody, Erdmann, Bryan, Sawyer for that on ASN Live, 9 p.m. Eastern Time next Sunday. As I was joking with the boys on our production meeting, I said, I'm going to go downtown and film myself on the streets. I don't want to get hit. I don't know if anyone has ever been in Chicago. I live an hour from the city. People don't care when they drive. You'll get hit pretty easily. As JJ Wang half a second up on Broderick Johnson that last lap. Or I should say, Johnson was a half second up on JJ Wang, so that mind game's shifting back. Adrian Johansson getting close to Cameron Henn, who clobbers the wall exiting turn 2. And Jeff Mathis and Paul Crone trying to sneak their way through. Marlon Orlando, who finished P4 in that first feature, sitting in P8 in his first race. But I suspect as Cameron Henn was a second and a half slower than Adrian Johansson last lap around. Johansson in 27 will take the fight fairly quickly to car number 5.
As these two have been slowly coming together here. Johansson just about a second faster. I noticed Henn did, coming out of 11, did have a little bit of a squirrely moment, which was able to let Johansson catch up. So we'll see what these two can do battle for the third step of the podium.
If it were to end right now, we'd be looking at Johnson, Wang, and Mathis for the overall podium. Crone P4, Martin Mathis, and Marlon Orlando would be tied for P5, but we'll keep you updated throughout the evening here. Unofficially, if it were to end right now, we would have a tie for the points lead. J.J. Wang and Jeff Mathis at the top. So that would certainly be an interesting development here. Aaron Totten in P10. I'm flicking through the field. He pits from 10th and last. As Johnson trying to catch J.J. Wang. The gap is 1.5 seconds. Last lap, it was pretty equal on lap time. Cameron Henn still holding off Adrian Johansson. Cameron Henn a 1 minute 32.382 to a 1 minute 31.948 for Johansson. So it's 4, make it 3/10 between those two. Mathis and Crone still trying to catch their way back up to the front of the field after the crazy first lap that we had here in Detroit.
As Aaron Totten does, parking for the rest of the night.
So we have 9 cars left here in Detroit. As thank you all for joining us on the Automotive Sports Network here live on Twitch, and those of you who catch us on demand on YouTube. Certainly appreciate all of the conversation and the viewership here on the Automotive Sports Network. It's going to be a big year in 2023 with EMSA and NASA and potentially many more. So just keep an eye on our socials. They'll be flying through on the ASN news ticker on the bottom. And once again, huge shout out to Bryan, Sawyer, our director. He doesn't want to speak on a live stream, but I'll say from all of us at our small little team, we certainly appreciate all the work that you do to make it look like we know what we're doing. As Cameron Henn still holding off Adrian Johansson. Still a great run, but I don't know, turn 12 beckons Adrian Johansson, maybe. He got a good run off of 11 there, down to 12. I suspect maybe a pass in turn 3, unless Henn hits the wall, which he does. There's still no battle for the top couple of spots, but this is a battle for a podium position in a feature race, which is still not a bad thing to write home about.
No, that's especially for two of our newcomers being on the podium for one of the features and you're pretty much your first race here of the series. It's something to kind of write home about and build on your momentum for next week in Chicago. So Johansson dives deep onto the brakes, see if he can do something. He does seem a little bit quicker through the inner portion of the course here. So let's see if he's coming up to his strength compared to Henn. So let's see if he's able to do something.
Unfortunately, look at sector split time. Cameron Henn was 0.2 up in sector 1. We're going to see the sector 2 time. Johansson was up by 0.3 last lap. So we'll see. And they're pretty equal, the final sector. The gap getting close. It's 0.75 of a second from Wang to Johnson. Still haven't missed anything up front. Those two battling closely. As the first sector split was 0.3 the difference. Henn was quicker than Johansson. For the first sector split for the top 2, it was equal. Broderick was up by 0.3. So he might have realized now, maybe I'm going to save my stuff for the last 5 minutes or so. We take 7.5 minutes left to go.
This is Paul Crone.
Into the wall. Henn around is Johansson as they both have issues in turn 12. Johansson got the shorter end of the stick on that one. As we ride on board the 27 in turns 1 and 2. Take a look at the onboard just to see how tricky it is. Turn 1, left of 2, over the crest. You'd think you're at a rally stage. Down Central Avenue. And Johansson was gaining so much time on Cameron Henn, but all about consistency in these cars.
Yeah, as if we looked out the back window of Johansson.
Oh, around his Henn from P3. I talk about consistency, and the man who is on debut here this evening loops it from a feature podium. Off the road he goes. A couple of guys who like this, Jeff Mathis and Paul Crone. I'll get a reset here. That would give Mathis... That might put... No, it wouldn't. he would be down by one position, it looks like. It'll get really spicy, though, if Mathis can get maybe one more spot.
This
Just have to wait and see.
To the inside, coming up 2-7 here.
Crone on the inside. Contact between them. Mathis shut the door, said, "You're not getting by me." Crone said, "I put a foot in the door, dude. We're going to make this work." And Crone bowls his way through on Jeff Mathis, complaining under acceleration. They both drifted through 10 into 11. And down the second part of Strand Drive into turn 12. These two hauling the mail to catch Adrian Johansson.
As their cars look like some off of a Saturday night short track going. Every panel's beat in from the two incidents they were involved in earlier, which I think is really hurting Mathis. The front nose is just punched in. It's a good run through 1 and 2 here.
As once the points have reset, Crone has 7, Mathis has 7. They would still be battling for third overall on the podium. J.J. Wang sits in second. Broderick Johnson still comfortably holding. As deep on the brakes is Mathis into the fence. I think he's a little upset at Paul Crone with how deep he went on the brakes in turn 3. I think he was trying to give a little bit of a payback to Crone.
Yeah, as I think he's also realizing this could have been the time to capitalize on Paul's mistake, because Paul doesn't make a whole lot of them, and unfortunately Jeff also got caught up in something. So there's one possibility of having a good point stay over your points rival, and it kind of got taken away from him. By the cars, they're trying to catch her.
Johnson P1 overall, Wang P2 overall, and then, like I mentioned, there's a tie for P3 overall. Unofficial if the race were to end right now. We're just under 5 minutes left to go here in Detroit and Belle Isle. And this race getting spicy, strategy-wise at least. Last lap for Wang, 1 minute 30.3, 1 minute 30.9 for Broderick Johnson. Johnson wide into the wall in turn 1! And that might have been him trying a little too hard over something that necessarily he doesn't need. If I was in the 82 right now, I'd realize that, and I'd say, you've got at least 10 seconds to Johansson. I wouldn't really worry about that. Because especially if he makes that move again with Paul Crone hauling to fight Adrian Johansson right now, he might lose that second spot.
As Crone looking up the inside of Johansson, deep on the brakes.
That was aggressive, but he makes it stick.
Now it's letting Mathis catch up to Johansson now.
And Johansson doesn't have to give blue flags. He might be slower, but he is there on merit. Mathis looks to the outside. Contact between them. Got a little bit of room through 3, through 4, through 5. Rounding 6. He loops it in front of the 27. And it was interesting that they came together in that exact corner on the first lap. And unintentionally, Jeff Mathis, I should say, could have given a little bit of payback to Johansson there. As remember, Johansson was squirrely through the corner and crashed into Jeff Mathis.
So unfortunately, that just killed any possibility of Mathis getting around Johansson, because now he's got to catch all the way back up. Although Johansson just got into the fence a little bit, I believe.
Broderick pitting in the 82. He must have a meatball flag. Our race leader overall is pitting. This is huge. We'll have to wait and see what's going on. Paul Crone's going to go by for the second spot, so Paul Crone might be in this race lead. What is going on? Where's the horseshoe with Paul Crone? Where is it? He has 6 points to J.J. Wang's 6 points. No, he'll have 5 points. It was updated. So Broderick got his fast repair. He used his fast repair, but he did not get out of the pit lane in front of Crone. The reason why it looks like because Crone didn't pass Broderick. So according to our timing, it's wrong. But I can tell you with 100% certainty that Paul Crone unofficially is leading this race. There's the golden horseshoe. Because Paul Crone is leading the race. Cody.
So looking at a quick replay, when we caught Broderick going into the tire barrier there, it stuffed the left front of the tire in. So he did get a meatball from that. So that mistake actually did cost him.
Wow. For those of you that are new, meatball flag in racing terms, you hit the wall a little bit too hard, and the marshals say, no, that's not safe. Get off the track. So luckily we have a fast repair, being the virtual world. So Broderick had to go down the pit lane, but still, that's going to kill his race because he's a straightaway behind. Look right now, this is Cameron Henn and Marlon Orlando, 2 newcomers. Remember, Orlando finished P4 in that first feature race. So this is huge. JJ Wang has a 17, 18-second gap to Paul Krohn. As I think we might be... No, we're going to have one more lap to go after this, so we have 2 laps to go. And Paul Krohn... No. Broderick might still... I don't know how to read. Okay, so Broderick might still be in this race lead, Cody. Okay. You guys wonder how interesting it is to watch these races? Yes, I don't even know what I'm looking at right now. Broderick Johnson is leading this race still technically. Paul Krohn is in second now, and JJ Wang is in third. Wow.
So our podium is reversed for overall.
We talk about how anything can change, and it usually does, and that's exactly what will happen, and that's going to be a crucial strategy call for Broderick Johnson if he can hold on to this spot. To know that you've got the fast repair. And for those of you that don't know, iRacing is going to automatically default, in this case, recharging your battery and tires. We look at Cameron Henn battling Orlando. They come together as Orlando started to loop it. They both did in turn 6. But the tires are going to be checked automatically. The recharge is going to be checked automatically. You have to remember to turn those both off and go to the pit stop. Don't mess up your box entry. And he did all of that, and he has recovered to still lead this race overall.
And, well, he's also going to make sure he doesn't make the same mistake twice. As I've also been watching Jeff Mathis just drive like a madman against Hansen here. I think he clipped a couple walls, and now he's got 1 lap to be able to get around him to P4.
There's JJ Wang on the final lap here in Belle Isle in Michigan. Paul Krohn sits in second, defending E-Roval champion and the points leader of the E-Triple Crown. Unofficially, I don't think he'll be holding that yellow plate next week in Chicago, but we'll get unofficial tally from Bryan Sawyer internally to let you guys know. JJ Wang through 8, through 9, through 10, through 11, the middle sector here in Detroit. Certainly picking up the pieces. The unintentional spin in lap 1, turn 2 might have sealed the deal. He was able to close out the first portion of the race a couple weeks consecutively in the E-Roval series, but he was finally able to get the second half well. Off the final corner, well, through the final corner. JJ Wang will win in Detroit in the second feature race. As Paul Krohn through the final corner. Through the final corners, he's so far back. 19 seconds is the gap for our defending E-Roval champion. Through the final corner, he will come to finish second, both on the road in the feature and overall. We thought he might have been able to take the fight to Broderick Johnson, but Johnson, with a strategy call the ages after the accident, winning overall, unofficially, here in Detroit. Adrian Johansson got close. He finishes P4. Mathis P5. 6th will be Marlon Orlando. He got by Cameron Henn. So the newcomers, Orlando finished P4 and P6 in his first race, and Cameron Henn finished 10th and 6th. So good run for them. Martin Mathis, Aaron Totten, and remember Ian Lane did not start this second feature race. As unofficially, those are your results from this evening. Overall, Broderick Johnson wins, Paul Krohn, JJ Wang second, Mathis, Orlando. Great run for Marlon Orlando. I was just trying to do mental math in my head of where he finished, but P5 on debut. Great run for him. Johansson, Thomas, Henn, Mathis, Totten, and then Ian Lane in 11th. As we take a look at unofficial series points after today's race. Paul Krohn still holds the points lead. I thought he wouldn't have, but he's got a 2-point lead over Mathis and a 1 point further over JJ Wang. It's going to be a spicy race going into Chicago, Cody.
Yeah, it's going to be TWR versus Paul Crone. We'll see if there's going to be any team orders going into the second race, I'd imagine. As we've also seen, though, that the TWR cars have been faster than Paul in qualifying, so that'll set them in front of him going into the first race. So that second race is probably going to be the most important race of this whole season.
So we're going to bring in our third place man overall and our winner of the second feature, JJ Wang. And Cody, all yours.
Hey, JJ, you got us?
Hey, yeah. What's up, guys?
Is this your first time up in here for an interview for a podium finish?
I don't think it's the first time, but
It's been the first time in a while.
Yeah, it's the first time in a while. It's more rare than I'd like it to be, obviously. But yeah, it has been a while since the last one.
As our thing, at least the last couple of weeks, where your first race is like outstanding, you run up front, and then unfortunately the second round or the second race of the night is kind of what bites you. But unfortunately, the roles were reversed tonight. Well, what all happened there in that first race where unfortunately kind of was able just to go over that over?
Yeah, funny thing. I did a lot of testing with Jeff. A little bit more me than Jeff, but we did testing, and I joked with him. I practiced every single thing about this car, this track, except for like the start and those first two corners, and I think that bit me. When the tires are cold, credit to Jeff. He has the settings just nailed on this car. The car raced beautiful under old tires, but it's a little bit more sketchy on when the tires are cold on the first few laps. So that was the trade-off. And Jeff warned me about that, but I guess I didn't translate that in my mind to the inside curb being deadly, because that curb is totally fine to just hit once the tires are up to temperature and to get more worn. Like, if anything, those first two corners is just understeer city. But once the tires are really cold, and with the settings that Jeff had me with, that I also partially adjusted myself, it was just a lot more sketchier than I anticipated. And yeah, that spin wasn't one of my proudest moments, but I guess it gives me good luck. Whenever I have a race for one, it gives me a mega race in another. So I'm glad that worked out, I guess.
So then for the second race, you're able just to kind of check out the...
We must have lost Cody again. I think he was saying something along the lines of you're able to just check out and not worry. So what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I gritting up, I think I finished like 5th, and it didn't really invert that well. The first thing I said to Jeff was, I'm being Paul Crone today. And I guess that's just the magic words. I just got to say that more often in race 2 now. But yeah, race 2 was sketchy. Dylan fed me into the wall. I don't I no hard feelings. I think it's just a racing thing, and if you're taking it easy, it's like this car just switches between oversteer and understeer pretty rapidly. So I'm pretty sure he wasn't expecting that. But yeah, I knew the guys in front of me. I had pace on them. So lesson learned from all the previous races: just be patient, wait until the mistakes. Don't need to force anything too hard, but don't lay back. And it kind of worked out. Broderick kept me honest in the second race, but I knew if I can just keep an okay pace, he would have to use up his tires to get to me, and that would elicit more mistakes or give him more room for mistakes. And I think that's just what happened. So yeah, happy to at least have some consolation, talk to you guys again, and I guess do one of the good races again.
As we were talking, that you were able to get qualifying in the first feature pretty well, and then you never got the second part. So you got the second part. So now the task is to put it all together. So hopefully in Chicago we'll see that from you. You got any sponsors or anyone you'd like to thank for your result tonight?
Yeah, absolutely. Big shout out to Team Watson Racing. Big shout out to Jeff. He's like my teammate for the Triple Crown, and he's been a great teammate. If with the settings that you see tonight, that we're pretty good with, go visit teamwatsonracing.com for your racing setups. We have a great NASCAR site as well. Personal sponsor, Co-Drivers Pad, WRC Generations just came out. You want to do something with a co-driver, with a friend, but find the the mode too restrictive or whatever because it's like a QTE. Go check out codedriverpad.rf.gd. That is like the software that's on my car. And yeah, big shout out to James. Glad I could represent the tricolors around here. So, and of course, thanks to you guys for a great broadcast. I always love watching these things back, and suffice it to say, I can't wait to watch this one back.
Absolutely. Well, good run, my friend. We'll see you next week in Chicago.
Thanks, Josh. Thanks, Cody. Thanks, Bryan.
Absolutely. Take care, my friend. As Cody fell off the face of the planet again, so I will bring in second place man overall and on the road, Paul Crone, who I talked about. You got a golden horseshoe somewhere. You probably should go to the doctor to figure out what's going on with that. But how was your race, my friend?
It was good. Yeah, my luck never runs out, huh? Got pretty pretty unlucky at the start of the invert, but that happens from time to time. JJ put it in the wall, and I kind of should have known better, so I should have maybe a little bit too aggressive. And yeah, and then I thought I was gonna walk away with another win, but I did the points wrong in my head, and Roderick got a first and third. I got a second and third. So
don't worry. If you rewatch this, which I feel like you will, I lost my mind thinking that you were going to win the race, and then I did the same thing. So it was admittedly a little embarrassing on my part. So, question that I have for you is, with the damage that you had on that schmozzle on lap 1, was it affecting the car in any way?
No, there wasn't much damage. I'm curious if let's see here, if Jeff Mathis in the 72 had any damage. He seemed like he was pretty clean too. I was having fun trying to run him down, and he made a mistake, got past him, but it was pretty clean. Didn't really notice anything, maybe a little arrow, but I just kind of got spun around. I mean, the problem with these things is that they don't have a TC toggle button, so you can't just whip them around. And on these road courses, without any run out, you're kind of SOL when you get turned the wrong way.
My last question for you is, coming into next week in Chicago, I think you unofficially have like a 1 or a 2 point lead. So I feel like I already know the answer to this, but are you going to be on the defensive? You're going to be on the attack? What's the game plan for the third and final round of the Triple Crown?
Oh, yeah, we'll see where the points fall out. But yeah, I'll have my eye on the 72, see what he's doing. And, hopefully we'll get together, and it'll be a good show. Hopefully I'll come out on top, but my luck's gonna run out sooner or later here. But best of luck to him.
Last thing I got, do you got any sponsors or anyone you'd like to thank for tonight's result?
Yeah, did the usual, of course. Everybody for coming out, all my fellow drivers. Another good race tonight. Service experts, you guys, of course. Broadcasts are awesome. And I think that's about it. We'll see you guys next week.
All righty, my friend. Great run tonight. We'll see you next week in Chicago.
Thanks, boys.
You finally got one that isn't shared with anybody else after you decided to crash into the wall. Broderick, talk me through your first lap, and then your first turn, and then your pit, and then what's the thought process here?
Oh man. Hey, finally got one, huh? That's cool. Yeah, I've tied Paul a few times. I think I've tied someone else a few times, but it finally happened. And I thought I blew it. Lap 1, I promise I was not trying to do anything. I said that to you guys, and then I'm like, man, I just ran into someone. Now I feel like I was trying to do something. Sorry to I think his name was Marlon. I did not mean to get into him there, and I didn't think I hit him hard enough to turn him around, but hey, it happens. And then I just got a little zoned out there running laps and missed my braking mark going into turn 1, and didn't think I hit the wall hard enough for a black flag, but hey, iRacing tells me it's a black flag, so gotta go pit.
I guess once you saw that meatball, what was the thought process? Oh crap, I'm gonna lose this race. I'm mad at myself because I crashed.
So
what were you thinking?
at first, it didn't come in until I was on that straightaway going back, but I was already thinking when I hit the wall, well, if I get it, I have, what was it, 18 seconds back to fourth place. I knew that if Paul was in front of me, that's fine. He just can't get in front of JJ. So it was more so, okay, make sure I have all my stuff unchecked. Let's just do that fast repair and get in and out as quick as possible. And I think I beat him out by half a second, but I think I had enough pace if I needed to get by him. I probably could have gotten by him in the last couple laps there. So I'll be honest, I didn't really stress as much as I could have, and that's probably a good thing, but definitely was pretty frustrated in the moment of how do I miss that braking marker.
And last question before, of course, the sponsor plug. What's the thoughts going into Chicago? I think unofficially you might be a couple points, or I don't think you're down. I think you're way down. You're like not eligible to win.
Yeah, not eligible to win.
What's the thought process still? Are you gonna not get in their way? Or are you still gonna push for the win? I just want to know about that.
Well, hey, I can't win. The Triple Crown Championship, but at least I can know if I can win next week. The overall, that would tell me that 2 entries, 2 wins. I can say I'm pretty proud of my street course racing, right? So the goal is definitely to go out and win next week, definitely not sit back. And I already apologized to Paul earlier for ruining his chance at winning all 3 of them. But hey, I'm not going to wait till the 2023 season to get my first overall win. So let's go 2 for 2 next week, huh?
As anyone you'd like to thank for tonight's result?
Going to do it again here. Service Experts, glad to be able to do this for them. Second time on the car and able to pull it home. So thanks to them for everything they do for the series, me. Thanks to all the drivers that came out. Firestorm Motorsport for everything they do for me. And you guys, man, I'm really excited for next year. So not trying to plug that in here too early for everyone that's watching, but really, really excited to be a part of this next year.
Absolutely. I can tell you from all of us here, it's been a wonderful time for the first season and then the Triple Crown as well. So like I mentioned on a live show, if you want us back, we'll be back for sure. Great run for you this evening. We'll see you next week in Chicago.
Thank you guys. See you next week.
As I was going to wait for Cody Erdmann to type out his final thoughts because Spectrum is not working for him. So I guess I'll just close it in general for all of us. This track, like always, whether it's American Le Mans, Tudor, or sorry, it's not Tudor anymore, WeatherTech sports cars, IndyCar, it doesn't matter what race is here, whether it's virtual or real world, it's absolutely incredible. And like I mentioned, you get a millimeter off the line, you're into the fence. A couple programming notes on the Automotive Sports Network, both live and on demand. Next week, the EMSA Service Experts eTriple Crown will be in Chicago, the streets of Chicago, Lakeshore Drive, Michigan Avenue. That's going to be a great race. And to close out this championship and see who will take the second EMSA championship in history, will it be Paul Crone? Will it be JJ Wang? Will it be Jeff Mathis? Who knows? That will be 9 p.m. Eastern Time, ASN Live, I should say, sorry, on Twitch, of course. Every show, ASN on demand after the fact. And remember, the Overwatch Specialty Service NASA Rallycross Challenge returns to the Automotive Sports Network on February 27th of next year. You'll join myself, Bryan, Sawyer, Philip Cross for that one. That's going to be exceptional. Super excited for NASA to come back. The Discord link on stream there if you'd like to join in on the festivities. From all of us at the Automotive Sports Network, Philip Krause, Victor Valley, Bryan Sawyer, Cody Erdmann, my name is Josh Mertz. We hope you enjoyed today's coverage of the EMSA Service Experts eTriple Crown from Detroit, and we hope to see you next week in Chicago. Congratulations to Broderick Johnson, but until then, so long, everyone.